Welcome to Sportpen. Today, we're heading back to October 8th, 1964 for a pivotal clash. Game 2 of the World Series between the New York Yankees and the St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. A crucial game, this one. The Cardinals had taken game 1, so, the pressure was really on the Yankees to level the series there in St. Louis.
Absolutely. And right from the get-go, you could just feel that World Series intensity. Bob Gibson, pitching for the Cardinals, he came out absolutely firing.
You really did.
Struck out the side in the first. Richardson, Maris, Mantle, boom, boom, boom. I mean, talk about making a statement.
That's huge. Silencing that part of the order right away, especially after winning the first game, must have just sent waves of confidence through that Cardinal team and the home crowd.
Yeah.
It really showed Gibson's, legendary competitiveness.
But the Yankee starter, Mel Skullmeyer, he wasn't just going to roll over. He started pretty strong himself, got Flood swinging in the first.
Right.
Looked like we were maybe settling in for a real pitcher's duel.
It did feel that way early on.
So when did things actually get moving on the scoreboard?
Well, the Cards drew first blood, bottom of the third inning.
Okay.
You had singles from Shannon and Maxville. Then Gibson himself lays down a perfect sacrifice bunt.
Pitcher helping his own cause.
Exactly. Textbook baseball, moves the runners, and then Shannon comes in to score on a ground out by Flood. Just manufactured a run, really.
1-0 Cardinals.
Yeah.
You can imagine the buzz in Busch Stadium then. But the Yankees, they answered pretty quickly, didn't they? Top of the fourth.
They did. Prompt response. Howard gets things going with a double. Then Pepitone hits another double right after him.
Back-to-back doubles.
Yep. Then Tresh draws a walk. Bases-loaded situation develops slightly differently, but the key is Howard scoring on a sacrifice fly by Boyer.
Okay, so just like that, tied game.
Tied game. Quieted that crowd down, at least for a bit.
Okay, now, let's talk about a moment the radio broadcast really focused on.
Yeah.
Top of the sixth. Gibson throws a curveball. Looks like it might have grazed Pepitone. What happened there?
Yeah, that was a real moment. It looked close. The home plate initially didn't call it a hit by pitch, I believe. But then there was a big discussion. Umpires conferring. Yogi Berra came out, Johnny Keane, players milling around. After all that deliberation, they decided, yep, it hit him. Pepitone gets first base.
And you could almost feel the air change, right? Controversial call.
Oh, yeah. A lot of disagreement. You could hear the buzz from the fans on the broadcast. And it definitely felt like a momentum shifter.
Because the Yankees took the lead right after that, didn't they? Same inning.
They did. Tresh singles right after and Mantle scores. So that contested call, putting Pepitone on base, directly led to the go-ahead run crossing the plate. Big swing.
Wow. Okay, so Yankees lead. But the Cardinals, they didn't just fold. They mounted a serious threat later, bottom of the eighth.
They absolutely did. Looked like they might just take the lead back. Pinch hitter Warwick gets a single.
Okay.
Then Skinner hits one, and it bounces into the stands for a ground rule double.
The old ground rule double. Sometimes helps, sometimes hurts.
Right. In this case, it put runners on second and third with nobody out. I mean, that's prime scoring position. The place must have been electric.
You got to score there, right?
You'd think so. But they only managed to get one run out of it. Brock grounded out, driving in Warwick, but the tying run was stranded at third. A huge missed opportunity for St. Louis.
Oof. Leaving the tying run 90 feet away. And then the top of the ninth happened. The Yankees kind of blew it open.
They really did. After such a tight game for 8 innings, it just exploded. Phil Lynn leads off the inning with a home run.
Just like that. Takes the air right out of the place.
Totally. Then Maris singles, Mantle doubles him home, then Pepitone singles Mantle home, Howard gets on, advances, and then Tresh hits another sacrifice fly to score Howard. 4 runs.
4 runs in the ninth. Turned a 1-run nail-biter into an 8-3 game.
Exactly. Put it completely out of reach.
You mentioned Lynn's homer. The broadcast also mentioned something earlier involving him. A wild pitch.
Yeah, good point. Back in the 7th inning, Gibson threw one wild, and Lynn, who was on second, alertly took third base. Okay.
He didn't score right away on that play, but having that runner on third adds pressure, maybe changes how you pitch, how the defense sets up. It was a subtle thing, but maybe, played a small part in setting up the later innings.
Little things matter. So those were definitely key moments that shaped the outcome. Let's talk about some of the individual performances that really stood out. Gibson, despite the loss in the 9th inning, that early dominance was something else.
Absolutely. 8 strikeouts through 6 innings. That's Bob Gibson. Power fastball, sharp curve. The announcers kept talking about his intensity, how he could just, rear back and bring it, even if maybe it wasn't his sharpest day overall later on.
And on the other side, Swackelmeyer gets the win for the Yankees. Pitched a really strong game, especially after that run in the third.
He really settled in. The commentators noted his poise, how effective his sinker was that day. For a younger guy in a World Series game, against that lineup, he showed impressive composure. Held them to just 3 runs over the distance, effectively. And Phil Lind, we mentioned the homer and the base running. He seemed to be right in the middle of the Yankee offense.
He really was. Got on base with a walk earlier, had a single, and then the huge home run. Just a key offensive contributor throughout the game. Very clutch performance.
And you can't talk Yankees without Mantle. Struck out early against Gibson, but still made his mark.
Yeah, Gibson got him twice early, but Mantle came through later, scored 2 runs, and that big double in the 9th inning drove in Maris. Still a force, even later in his career.
Tommy Tresh, too, drove in a couple of important runs.
Yep, 2 RBIs for him. That sac fly to tie the game early, and then another sac fly in the 9th during that big rally. Solid day's work.
And Roger Maris, he had a couple of hits, scored a run, but the broadcast mentioned a defensive play he made.
They did. Apparently made a great running catch out in deep right center sometime in the 7th inning. Saved an extra base hit, potentially saved a run, or shifted momentum. Defense matters.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Yankee highlights on defense. The Cards had some moments too, right?
Oh, yeah. Dick Grote at shortstop for the Cardinals. He was apparently flashing the leather. Made several impressive plays according to the broadcast.
Okay.
And Curt Flood in center field made a really outstanding running catch back in the 5th inning, robbed a Yankee hitter. So great defensive plays on both sides.
Good stuff.
Right.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. What was really at stake here in Game 2? How did this fit into the bigger picture of the '64 season and this Yankees-Cardinals rivalry?
Well, like we said, it was huge for the Yankees. Losing Game 1 on the road, going down 0-2, heading back to New York would have been a really deep hole.
Yeah, tough spot.
So evening the series was just paramount for them. And you could just feel the typical World Series buzz, the high stakes coming through in the broadcast commentary.
The broadcast also dropped a little historical nugget, didn't it? Something about Don Larson.
Yeah, they mentioned it was the anniversary, 8 years to the day, of Don Larson's perfect game in the '56 series. Just kind of adds context, right? Reminds you of the pressure cooker these guys are in, the potential for history that exists in every World Series game, especially for pitchers.
And the managers. Yogi Berra for the Yankees, managing against the Cardinals. That had its own story.
It did. Yogi, the Yankee legend, now leading them against the team he also played for briefly. Just another layer of intrigue for the series.
And that contrast in pitching styles was a theme too, wasn't it? Gibson's power versus Sklemeyer's sinker and maybe craftiness.
Yeah, the commentators definitely played that up. The hard-throwing Gibson versus the, perhaps more precision-oriented Sklemeyer with his sinker. 2 different ways to try and get outs in a huge game.
Injuries were also part of the narrative, weren't they? Key guys missing.
Right. Julian Javier was out for the Cardinals, Tony Kubek for the Yankees. That meant guys like Lynn for the Yanks and Maxwell for the Cards were stepping into bigger roles. The broadcast made sure to note how those fill-ins were doing under pressure.
Okay, thinking about the game itself, were there any moments that felt like real surprises or upsets, things that maybe the commentators or fans reacted strongly to?
Well, maybe Gibson walking 3 batters. One was intentional, but still, for a power guy known for control usually, maybe a bit surprising.
And we already talked about it, but that Pepitone hit-by-pitch call.
Oh, for sure. That generated a huge reaction. You could hear the crowd noise swell on the radio feed. Those judgment calls in tight spots always get people talking and disagreeing.
Definitely. And maybe the sheer size of that Yankee 9th inning.
Yeah,
4 runs after it being so tight.
Yeah, that probably felt like a sudden gut punch to the Cardinals and their fans. You fight tooth and nail for 8 innings, keep it close, and then bam, the game gets away from you like that. Bit shocking, probably.
And maybe Strollemeyer's performance, was it seen as an upset for him to pitch so well?
Perhaps a mild surprise, yeah. The commentators definitely sounded impressed by his composure and effectiveness against a really good Cardinal lineup. Maybe he outperformed some expectations being the younger pitcher in that matchup.
And that weird ground rule double for the Cardinals in the 8th, the one affected by the wind.
Right. That was just kind of a fluke, wasn't it? The wind catches it, takes it into the stands, helped the Cardinals get runners in scoring position, but also just highlighted how, sometimes weird stuff happens in baseball. Luck plays a part.
Always does. So as we wrap up our look back at this game, what kind of broader themes emerged? Things that maybe told us something about these teams or the sport at the time?
Well, we definitely saw that classic pattern. Strong starting pitching dominating early. Then the offense is finding ways to break through later. Endurance and adjustments become key.
And the Yankees certainly show the importance of cashing in on your chances, especially in that ninth inning.
Absolutely. That late rally hammered home how critical it is to capitalize when you get runners on base in those tight, high-pressure games. Can't leave guys stranded like the Cardinals did in the eighth.
And we talked about the defense, those individual plays by Maris, Grote, Flood, really showing how run prevention can swing a game.
Yeah, those moments reminded us that defense isn't just routine. It can be spectacular and game-changing. Just as important as a big hit sometimes.
Did you get a sense of contrasting team styles? Maybe power versus something else?
Maybe a bit. You know, the Cardinals manufactured that first run, relied on Gibson's power early. The Yankees ultimately broke through with more sustained hitting and that ninth inning power surge. Just different approaches trying to get to the same goal.
In the role of younger players stepping up, like Strillo Meyer for the Yankees.
Right. Shows that in a long series, you often need contributions from unexpected places. It's not always just about the established stars.
And finally, you just can't escape that element of luck or controversy, can you? The hit by pitch, the wild pitch, the windblown double.
Nope. Those moments become part of the game story, fuel debates for years. It adds that layer of unpredictability and, frankly, human drama to it all.
Well, this deep dive into Game 2 of the 1964 World Series certainly gave us a lot. Pitching with brilliance, controversy, and that dramatic late Yankee surge.
And it tied the series up. One game apiece, heading back to New York, perfectly set the stage for the rest of the Fall Classic.
It really makes you think about how all these different elements, individual moments, strategy, maybe a bit of luck, all come together to shape the outcome in these huge games.
Exactly right. A reminder that momentum can turn on a dime in sports.
Thanks for listening to Sportpen.